Yes, I'm Johan Gelting, and this project about carbon and nitrogen vertical export in the Baltic Sea was mainly conducted during my postdoc studies at ITM. Currently I've moved to Department of Ecology, Environment and Plant Sciences. And this project about carbon and nitrogen export was conducted mainly together with Torium Gustafsson. This project is actually about determining the size of the biological carbon pump, the vertical export that is generated by sedimentation of phytoplankton each year as a result of the bloom that occurs in the Baltic Sea. And this project is based on a unique 24-month time series data, which is from 1998 to 2000. There is also this quote from the Beam proposal about the significance of this biological pump. I mean, it's a very important factor that determines the system by exporting not only carbon but also affecting the system in many different ways. Carbon and nutrients and also pollutants are going in this direction. So for knowing how to make proper models, we need to have a proper estimate of this flux. How much of the carbon produced in the Baltic Sea is actually transported vertically every year. So, by this project we used different methods. We had direct measurements from sediment trap collection of carbon and nitrogen, and then we also used a thorium proxy, which I will talk a little bit about just in a bit. And then we also compared this to estimates from new production, which was based on the nitrogen budget, and also another budget estimate based on the excess of oxygen, which is produced by photosynthesis, generates a surplus of oxygen, and from that you can calculate backwards how much carbon that is actually produced. So, sediment trap deployment. This is a sediment trap that is deployed in the open Baltic Sea, and this is a usual method to measure the vertical flux. And it seems like a very easy task to just measure something that slowly sinks down. But there are, of course, problems in all types of measurements. And in this way, when dealing with sediment traps, there are essentially these three problems. There are hydrodynamic problems because of the water movement and the movement of the traps. Because they are moored, they will not collect material in a proper way, and not exactly the same as actually is sedimenting. There is also a problem with zooplankton, which goes into the traps and they leave fecal pellets, or they eat material that is collected in sediment traps, and they make a change in the sample. And there is also solubilization of the sample itself. So this is a problem to rely on this data only. So therefore we also apply the thorium proxy. Thorium is a radioactive product from uranium decay. Uranium is available as it goes along with the sea, in the seawater. It's just the dilute, dissolved constituent of the seawater, but then it decays into thorium, and thorium is very particle reactive. So thorium attached to the particles, and then we can measure the imbalance between uranium and thorium, because uranium just stays dissolved and is the same throughout the water column, but thorium attached to particles, and then we can see this this profile, which means that we have a lack of thorium in the upper water column, and then an increase towards depth because of the sedimentation.
1.5 minutes.
Yeah. So this is, for instance, how you can see the pattern of sedimentation by using thorium, and here we can see how much the traps are. They are under-trapping. This is a logarithmic scale, and on a seasonal basis, this is year to 1998 and so on. There is a seasonal pattern in the sedimentation because of different properties of the sedimenting material, and this can be very clearly seen by using this Torium proxy. And this is data already published 2004, but we use this in this project as well. And here we can see different approaches. The upper panel is the primary production, and then we have different measurements of the export. And this one, D, is the actual measured from the sediment trap. And as you can see, it's much, much lower than the other ones, where we have used thorium to calibrate the amount of material reaching the traps. We can still see this seasonal pattern, but it's a big difference. So finally we came down to this, where we can see that these different approaches where we measure directly, it's really a low result compared to these four measurements that are very similar in a way. Two of them are based on thorium, and there are these two based on the budget approaches. So we actually get results that are quite similar to previous estimates, but this is done in a very rigorous way, and we have these four different approaches that are giving us a very similar result. So this is very convincing that we now have some base point for this export. And also, I finally will say that we have compared this data to model output from Baltzem, and we can see also that we get a similar export ratio. This export ratio I mentioned is the vertical export divided by the primary production, which is sort of an important factor to keep on track of. But we can also see, compared to the Baltzem model, that the nominal export from the model is lower. So probably from this this can be used to in a way improve the Baltzem model. That's our hopes, at least. Yeah.
Thank you.